Hello there, my name is Patrick, and I come from a small island country called Singapore. Whether you have already picked up a camera or you're just starting out, I would like to help you along your journey of discovering the wonders of photography. This is Photography for Everyone, where your next adventure is just a click away. Hi everyone, in this episode, we will be exploring how cameras work to produce the photographs you see on the screen. It doesn't matter if the camera is a digital SLR, mirrorless, or even a film camera. The basic concepts of how they operate are very much the same. Firstly, what do you need in order to make a photograph? If you said a camera, you'd be half correct. But the one thing you most definitely need is light. Without light, we wouldn't be able to see, let alone make a photograph. Regardless of the type of camera, the main goal is to capture and record light reflected from our subject as an image that we can view later. In order to let light in, cameras have lenses in front of them. These are usually made out of smooth, clear glass, or in some cases, plastic, so that light can easily pass through. Lenses also have a special shape, which allows them to bend and direct light into the camera to get a clear, focused image. Now that light is coming into the camera, we would need to control the amount of light that will be recorded. In photography, this is called exposure. Exposure means how bright or dark the photograph will be, and this is controlled by three settings on your camera: the aperture, shutter speed, and ISO, or how sensitive to light your digital sensor or film is. Let's start with aperture. Inside the lens is an opening called the aperture, which controls the amount of light that passes through. A bigger aperture will allow more light to pass through, while a smaller one will allow less light to enter the camera. The size of the opening is controlled by small aperture blades inside the lens, which look something like this. Next, the light will have to pass through a part of the camera called the shutter. Think of the shutter like the curtains at home. When the curtains are closed, you block light from coming in, but when you pull them open, light will be able to pass through. How fast you open and close the shutter will then determine the amount of light that goes through. That is why we call this setting the shutter speed. A fast shutter speed will let less light in, while a long shutter speed will allow more light to enter. The final step is to record the light that has made it all this way into the camera. In the past, film was used, but in modern cameras, this is done through a light-sensitive sensor behind the shutter. The sensor, together with the camera's internal computer, records this light as a photograph. The photograph is then transferred to the storage device of the camera so that you can view it later on your computer. The camera's sensor also has a part to play in setting the exposure. This is done by changing the ISO settings. As the ISO number goes higher, the sensor gets more sensitive and will absorb a larger amount of light. Let's recap. The lens allows light to enter into the camera and also helps to focus the light to get a sharp image. The camera shutter opens and closes, and how fast it does this determines the amount of light that passes through. Lastly, the camera's light-sensitive sensor records the light as a photograph, and you can set how sensitive the sensor is with the ISO settings. I hope that you have a clearer picture of how a camera works, and if you're just starting out, it might be a little confusing at first. But trust me, as you practice and take more photographs, getting your camera settings right will become much easier. In our upcoming videos, we will find out more about aperture, shutter speed, and ISO. So do subscribe to the channel to get updates on the latest videos. This is Photography for Everyone, and I hope to see you next time.